Hey everybody, welcome back to episode number 5. I am Steven Nitz. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to pick up right where we left off at episode number 4, where we had just learned what a J-cut was. And if you look here on our timeline, a J-cut is when you can hear sound from the shot that's coming up before you see it. And the idea with the J-cut is just to help the transition. You know, if you just hard cut right on the shot, right on the sound, sometimes it works, but oftentimes you can hear the cut, you can see the cut, and it kind of ruins that momentum that we're trying to build. So a J cut looks like that because it kind of forms the shape of a J with the audio and the video. An L cut is just the opposite. So if I were to highlight both of these and unlink them, and remember we want to unlink them so we can move our video and our audio independently of each other. And to get to this menu, I just two-finger clicked or right-click if you're using a mouse and select unlink. And now I can grab just the audio portion and I can extend it out. So what I've done here is I have allowed the sound to continue underneath the next shot. And that's an example of an L cut. And it's called an L cut because this one forms the shape of an L. So you can use both those tools, J cuts and L cuts, to help go from shot to shot without it being just straight cuts. Kind of blend it together, make it flow more, and help transition that movement or that action. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through our timeline. We're gonna find places where we can do J cuts. We're gonna find places where we can do L cuts. We're gonna find places where we can cut on the action. And our whole goal by the end of this class is to get this rough cut into a much tighter cut, almost a fine cut. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it and watch what we have. Okay, here's a great example. This shot right here, there's kind of a hum to it. I think maybe my neighbor has their water running or something like that, and we can hear it going from this shot. All right, so although we do kind of have the tail end of the cabinet closing and we can kind of hear the sound of me in this shot, we're picking up something else. So I'm gonna use an L cut right here to help us transition from shot to shot without that abrupt hum that we're picking up from the next room. So I'm going to grab this audio, I'm going to extend it underneath this shot so that the audio from this shot now becomes the audio of this shot. And on top of that, because I'm picking up, water running from the next room, I'm going to unlink these. And I'm actually going to just get that out of my timeline. I don't want that in there at all because that water running only happens in that shot. And it'll absolutely take people out of the moment. So let's see if we can fix that with an L cut. Perfect, and that works out much better, right? Let's go back. We'll just compare. Here it is without the L cut. You can hear that water running again. Let's go ahead and put the L cut back in. And this time I'm just going to lower it. Much better. And I'm just going to keep it moving, finding places where I can do J cuts, L cuts, kind of tighten it up, get closer to what I want this finished product to be. Okay, so I just noticed something too. If we look here on my wide shot, we notice the mocha pot is not assembled. But when we get here to the close-up, it is. So that's something known as a continuity error. Usually there's somebody on set and it is their entire job to make sure the props, the wardrobe, the set design, hair and makeup is consistent shot to shot within a scene to make sure that we're not taking the audience out of the moment. And I'm sure you remember Game of Thrones, for example, they found a Starbucks cup in one of the shots, and these kinds of things happen all the time. And with the power of movie magic, we can come up with some solutions to kind of help hide that mistake. One of them is simply eliminating this establishing shot. We can delete it altogether, get rid of it, and just start on the next shot, and then the audience will be none the wiser. There will be absolutely no evidence that the mocha pot isn't assembled. But my personal preference, I like having the establishing shot. I like starting off on a wide shot. I'm going to shorten it up so that it is on screen for the smallest amount of time that I feel is appropriate, with the hopes that people just don't notice. And the reason why I think it's going to go a little more unnoticed is because we don't know in this first shot that the mocha pot is important. So we're not looking for it. We're not looking for it until this shot where it is assembled. So I'm hoping that to our audience, to our viewers, this will be the first time that they notice the mocha pot in general. or at least that'll be my idea, leaning into the movie magic that I have at my disposal. So let's start with shortening this up. I also don't like seeing myself in the mirror too much. So I'm going to cut out this continuity error by shortening the shot, getting out of it as quick as I can. And again, the idea is when you first see this, you're a first time, audience member, you have no idea that this is a prop that I'm going to interact with, so you're not looking for it in this shot. All right, so now we're getting into some of the slow-mo stuff. And if you haven't done this yet, the way to convert the stuff that is shot in 120 to slow-mo on a timeline is to highlight it. You can right-click or two-finger click, scroll to where you see speed duration, and this little dialog box is going to open up. And you'll see at the top it says speed 100%. Now this is where it's important to remember the frame rate that you shot it in and how much you can actually slow it down. I shot in 120 frames, so that's quite a bit. I have a lot of wiggle room that I can adjust my speed with, where I'll still have enough frames in the footage for it to be smooth motion. So I'm going to reduce down by 50%. There's another option down here, time interpolation. I think this is important. You can experiment with it. You get different results using it in different ways. So sometimes frame sampling will work better, but oftentimes I like putting them in optical flow. I think it just kind of helps that motion feel a little bit more seamless. Hit OK. All right, so now we have a slow-mo shot to a slow-mo shot, and I don't need that much of it. So I'm going to trim it down. I'm going to simply click and drag to shorten it. I think that's about good. So I'm just going to go through. I'm tightening up, and I'm doing it all to taste. Right now, there isn't a right answer or a wrong answer. You just have to develop your style, your taste level, your pacing. When you're watching the shots, listen to your instincts. When do you think we should transition to the next shot? And try it out, see if it works. So we'll keep it moving. This is another long shot. I don't want all of it. I just kind of want that sound of it hitting the stove. So I'm going to go to my razor tool. I'm going to trim this out. I'm going to delete it. And then if you remember ripple delete, I'm going to ripple delete right there. Everything cascades down. You can watch it back. So I don't necessarily like the motion of me picking up the Cafe Bustelo bag to the motion of me kind of putting down the coffee pot. So I'm going to use my slip tool, and I'm going to click and drag to the right, which will kind of pull the film, if you want to think about it that way, to the right as well. So we're going to get to an earlier portion of the video where I'm not setting it down. So I'm going to slip to the right. And I slipped it 4 seconds. So now the video that's going to be in this exact spot as the clip on the timeline is actually 4 seconds earlier than what was already there. So now if we watch it back, see, there was no me putting it down because of the slip. All right, so I like that sound there. Me waiting. Putting down the coffee cup. Pouring in coffee. And walking away. Okay, a couple of thoughts here on the back end of this. It's very long, but there is some sound. And I also remember from when I was going through my footage that we have some insert shots from this moment. So this is our opportunity to add a little bit of B-roll, a couple of inserts to kind of help make the edit a little more dynamic, give us a little bit more flavor, a little bit more to work with, especially when we start adding like sound effects and music and stuff like that. So I'm going to tab open my footage bin, and I'm going to find those inserts of the burner starting, of me turning on the stove, and I'm going to kind of layer them in here like seasoning. All right, so here is the burner coming on. Great. And these are in slow-mo, so when I drag them down to my timeline, I only want to drag the video portion with it because there is no audio. And then I either want to right-click on it or two-finger click on it to adjust my speed. And I want to make these 50% because I want to keep that kind of slow motion vibe going. Now, where's the sound for it? There it was there. And I'm trying to line up this insert shot with the sound of the shot underneath it. A little sooner, we're getting there. And sometimes this is the game we play. You just got to nudge it a couple of frames, a couple of frames, a couple of frames, all to where it feels good instinctually to you as the place for that shot to be. And now the other insert that I want to add is this one, where I actually turn the dial. So when we hear it clicking, click, 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 this is the shot that I want. Perfect. Trim it out, drag and drop. Okay, so this needs to happen later. Again, the goal is to put the insert shot over the sound that it's actually happening. So the first click happens about there. Let's slow this one down too, 50%. All right, so now one of the things that I'm going to do to kind of help smooth this particular portion out is I'm actually going to slow down this audio as well. So I'm going to either right click or two finger click to unlink it. I'm going to drag it down to its own channel, and I'm going to slow it down by going to speed. But I'm only going to change this one to about 70%. You have to experiment when you slow down audio because it's really noticeable. So you don't have to go to the same extreme as you do with video when you're trying to slow down sound. So let's try 70%. Gotta drag it out, pull it back. Pretty close. I might try 80%. A little later. Something like that. All right, so that's your goal for this class. Go through to your J cuts, do your L cuts, find some places to put in some insert shots. There's some really good natural sound within the coffee being made, so maybe your sequence wants to be cut solely on sound and you just want it to be really quick and really short and really concise and just with those nat pops being the thing that you edit with. That's totally fine. You can go that way. It's up to you. Get it to a point where it is ready for music, ready for sound effects, ready for the next step in the process. So we're going to do that in episode number 6, and I look forward to seeing you there.